The first humans to walk into a real winter had no idea what was coming. The world just started dying around them. The plants went first, then the animals vanished. Then the air itself turned into something that could kill you in hours. Nobody had ever survived this, until somebody did. And what that one group figured out is the only reason you're warm right now. So here's the problem. By every rule of survival, this human should already be dead. We were built for Africa. Winter did not get the memo. Look at what you physically are. No fur, no thick fat layer, no claws, no burrow to crawl into. Around 1 million years ago, our ancestors lost most of their body hair. Biologist Nina Jablonski at Penn State studies why. Her answer is almost funny. We lost the fur to stay cool. We became elite sweating machines. World-class, professional-grade moisture emitters. Best on the entire planet. Incredible in the heat. In the cold, that exact skill becomes a death sentence. Now compare that soft, sweaty primate to literally everything else alive. The bear just sleeps through the whole thing. The reindeer just walks somewhere warmer, thousands of kilometers, every single year. Every one of these animals has a built-in solution welded into its body. The human has exactly none of them. What the human has is this, shivering. And here's the brutal part. Shivering barely works. Shivering is your muscles firing on purpose just to throw off heat. It can push your heat output up 5 to 6 times for a while. Sounds impressive until you see the catch. It burns through your fuel fast. Fuel runs low, the shivering fades, and your core temperature starts to slide. Below 35 degrees Celsius, you cross into hypothermia. 35. Your judgment goes first. You stop making good decisions right when you need them most. And near the very end, people do something that sounds insane. They undress. It's called paradoxical undressing. The freezing brain feels like it's burning up. This is what winter does to a defenseless tropical animal. Every rule says we lose. So be honest for a second. You get cold walking to the shop and call it suffering. These people watched the entire world freeze and had to invent the answer from scratch. So how are you here, warm, alive, reading this in a heated room? Because one group of humans did something no animal on Earth had ever done. They stopped trying to change their bodies. They started changing the world instead. Here's the twist that flips the whole story. We did not survive winter by getting tougher. Every other animal adapted to the cold. We flat out refused. We cheated. We became the first animal that would not play by nature's rules. 3 cheat codes changed everything. The first one is the obvious one, fire. But think about what fire actually is. It's a portable sun, a piece of daytime you can carry into the coldest, darkest night of the year. And we were playing with it long before any winter tested us. Homo erectus was tending fire hundreds of thousands of years ago. At Zhoukoudian in China, archaeologists found burned animal bones roughly 500,000 years old. By about 400,000 years ago, fire in Europe was a regular habit, not a lucky accident. And fire did more than one job. It made heat. It made light, so night stopped being a dead zone where you froze blind. And here's the part people forget. A fire is a wall. Predators won't cross. In the dark of an ice age night, you weren't only fighting cold. Cave lions and cave hyenas hunted the same frozen ground you slept on. The fire held them back and let you close your eyes without dying. And it cooked food, which pulled more calories out of every single bite. More calories meant more fuel to burn against the cold. Fire fed the fire inside you. Now you might be thinking a campfire solves everything. It doesn't. You can't hug a fire while you hunt. The second you walk away, the warmth stays behind. Which brings the second cheat code, and this one is genuinely creepy. Clothing, wearable heat you take everywhere you go. Here's the catch. Animal skins rot. They don't survive tens of thousands of years. So for a long time, nobody could prove when we first got dressed. Then researchers cracked it using the most disgusting evidence imaginable. Lice. Here's the trick. Head lice live in your hair. Body lice can only live in clothing. So body lice literally could not exist until clothing existed for them to live in. David Reed at the Florida Museum sequenced lice DNA to find when the two kinds split apart. His answer, published in 2011, roughly 170,000 years ago. That's the moment someone first cut open a dead animal and decided to wear it. Sit with how strange that leap is. You're cold, so you take the warm layer off a corpse and you strap it onto your own back. No other animal has ever thought of that. Reed found something even weirder. We wore clothes 70,000 years before we truly needed them. We were tinkering with the fix long before the test ever showed up. And that pointless looking tinkering is exactly what saved the whole species later. It wasn't a single skin thrown over the shoulders either. They tailored it. Bone needles, sinew thread, fitted sleeves that trapped a layer of warm air on the skin. Fire warms you. Clothes carry the warmth with you, but you still have to sleep somewhere, which is the third cheat code, shelter. And the best example is buried in real dirt. At Mazirich in Ukraine, hunter-gatherers built houses out of mammoth bones. Not a couple of bones leaned together. Hundreds stacked into circular walls, 4 separate structures, each up to 24 square meters of floor space. A 2025 study dated the largest one to around 18,000 years ago. That lands right at the coldest, harshest phase of the last ice age. The same study says one shelter was used on and off for up to 429 years. Older bone houses at Kostenki in Russia reach back around 25,000 years. One Kostenki structure used the bones of around 60 mammoths. Picture the labor. You kill or scavenge a mammoth. You haul bones bigger than your whole body. You stack skulls and tusks into a dome that blocks a wind that genuinely wants you dead. Fire on the inside. Bone walls against the storm. Skins on your back. This is the exact moment the doomed tropical animal becomes the landlord of winter. And every winter coat in your wardrobe is the same idea as that first cut open animal. You just outsource the sewing. Sound familiar? It should. That's you, every cold morning. So let's actually live one of those winter days. Not a montage. One real day. You wake before dawn. The fire from last night is a heap of orange embers. Someone stayed up feeding it in shifts. Letting it die was not an option. First job of the morning is water, and the water's frozen solid. The hunting party reads the snow like a newspaper. Fresh tracks. A herd passed at night. They don't sprint after it. In deep snow, a sprint can freeze your lungs. They herd the animal toward a drift where it sinks and slows. Then the spears fly. One kill in winter is a jackpot. Meat, fat, bone, sinew, and one more hide. You haul it back before dark. Dark is when the cold and the lions both win. By nightfall, everyone is back inside the bone walls, packed close, fire high. And this is where the day stops being about survival and starts being about us. Someone tells a story. Someone repairs a spear. A child learns which tracks mean food. That's the whole machine. Hunt by day, teach by firelight, survive one more night. Do that a few thousand times in a row, and you've done the impossible, you've wintered. But cheat codes only work if you live long enough. And most people didn't. Because the first winters didn't just test people, they killed most of them. Stop and picture what that camp was actually up against. Food ran out. The animals had migrated or died, and nothing green was growing. The dark swallowed most of the day, and cold. Like that hunts every weakness you have. Bodies packed into one shelter meant warmth. It also meant sickness spreading fast. Drift asleep too far from the fire, and you simply don't wake up. Here's the ironic part. That exact horror is what carved us into what we are. The cold worked as a filter. But look closely at what it actually filtered for. It did not reward the biggest or the strongest. Muscle does not stop frostbite. It rewarded the ones who planned ahead. The ones who stored food in autumn. Who kept the fire alive all night long. Hunter-gatherers heading into winter stockpiled. Fat, dried meat, and followed the herds. Sound familiar? It should. That's the same brain you use to plan your entire week. And the survivors passed on something far bigger than genes. They passed on knowledge. How to strike a spark when your fingers won't bend in the frost. How to shake someone awake before their body sleeps itself into death. A bear can't teach the next bear a single thing. It just runs its instincts and hopes. We taught, and every winter, the knowledge stacked higher than the winter before it. That's the second twist. We didn't outmuscle the cold. We out-remembered it. And if you doubt that knowledge beats a better body, nature already ran the experiment. Meet the Neanderthals. They were in cold Europe long before us and built for it. Short, thick limbs that hold heat. A barrel chest, a wide nose to warm the air. On paper, they were the better cold animal. Physically, they had us beaten. They survived European winters for over 300,000 years. We showed up much later. And then, around 40,000 years ago, they vanished. The stronger cold animal lost. Researchers still argue over exactly why. The honest answer is we don't fully know, but one pattern keeps showing up. Where we spread, their range shrank and broke apart. Not because we were stronger, we weren't, because we networked. Their bodies fought the cold alone. Our minds fought it together across continents. The better adapted body lost to the better connected brain. Let that sit for a second. One frozen night's lesson became the next generation's starting point. And that changed how we hunted too. We couldn't outrun anything on 4 legs. A reindeer sprints away in seconds, so we didn't sprint. We used the one thing we had. We are the best long-distance sweating engine on the planet. So we just followed. You track the animal at a steady jog. It runs, stops, overheats, runs again. It can't cool itself while moving. You can. Hours later, it collapses and you walk up. In winter, that patience meant meat, fat, and one more hide to turn into a coat. Now zoom back to the body, because the deck was stacked against us hard. Cooperation wasn't kindness. In the cold, it was the only math that worked. One person alone loses body heat fast, even by a fire. A tight group holds it. So they slept, packed shoulder to shoulder, sharing one wall of warmth. They split the night into fire watches so the flames never died. The weakness forced cooperation. Cooperation is the thing that actually beat the cold. Think about that trait. We stayed physically weak on purpose and got smart together instead. And here's the part that should stop you cold. Winter didn't just test us. It designed us. It took a soft, tropical primate and forced it to invent its way out of dying. Every tool you rely on to stay warm is a distant echo of that first freezing camp. Let that sit for a second. Your central heating is 40,000 years of people refusing to freeze. Every step of that chain was invented by someone who was genuinely about to freeze. The needle to sew a fitted skin, the banked fire that survives till morning. None of it was in our blood. All of it was in our heads, handed down, hand to hand. There's one more thing the dark did to us, and you still do it every winter night. Before artificial light, people didn't sleep in one solid block the way you think you should. They slept in 2 phases, with a wakeful hour in the pitch black between them. That 2 a.m. wake-up you call insomnia might just be an ancient winter night still running. The urge to pull a blanket tight when it's cold works the same way. That's not comfort. That's a survival reflex, tens of thousands of years old. You are running caveman software on a heated couch, and it still works. So let's put you back where the whole thing started, with nothing. Right now, there's a wall between you and the cold, and a button that makes heat appear. Someone had to invent every step between that button and a human shivering in the dark. No lighter. Your ancestors spent an hour making the spark you get from a thumb flick. No coat. They cut, scraped, and stitched a hide for days. You grab one off a hook. No house. They stacked the bones of 60 mammoths. You just close a door. Every effortless move you make is a solved problem someone nearly froze to death solving. You are the final link in an unbroken chain that reaches back to that first frozen camp. Every person in that chain learned how not to die from the person right before them. And here's the humbling part. Drop you at the very start of it, and you last one night. Maybe. So be honest with me. No phone, no lighter, no coat, dropped into your first winter with nothing but the body you were born with. How long do you actually last? Give me a real number. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one.